everyone. Welcome to Decoding Data Analytics podcast. This podcast is all about analytics from the perspective of global data professionals. Welcome back to season 3, and I'm your host, Janvi Naran, currently working as a senior data analyst at Walmart. And today we have Aditya Khandelwal with us, who is currently working as a senior business intelligence engineer at Amazon. He is my mentor and he is amazing. He started his journey in India from BITS Pilani. He was a civil engineer who later came to US, got graduated from Duke. He has worked in companies like Credit, Cruise, Home Depot, and now Amazon. So Aditya, welcome to the podcast.
And thanks for having me on this podcast, Janvi. Really glad and excited to be part of it. And I think you're doing great work of connecting like across different types of
Yeah,
professions, which will help all the analytics people. So great job doing that.
thank you.
To answer your question, yes, it has been quite a bit of journey, and I'll just I'll just tell you why I made these decisions along the way. So I think it might help somebody else too.
Yeah.
Civil engineering is a great field, no doubt, but I think later on I realized that like the field has already been developed quite a bit. Like you do
Mm.
see houses being built, there's bridges, and there's still scope there. But
Yeah.
then a lot of engineering has been developed. Now, in order for me, I wanted to contribute something and change something quickly.
Yeah.
And in order for me to do that, like I wanted to be in a part in a field which is not as much explored. And analytics gave me the opportunity to do that. And I got some exposure to it in my first job in banking, which was related to managing operational risks through data, which
Yeah.
I really liked. And so I pursued it further and then kept growing in this field.
Yeah, that's amazing. Can you give an idea about like how's your journey from Duke to Amazon and then Home Depot in between? Because I know we have talked before about this, but I know that you really like big names. So also walking us through the entire journey of your with names and brands.
Absolutely. Um,
Yeah.
well, yes. I think it does give you a lot of again to define a shortest path to learn fast. I
Yeah,
think being associated with greatness and wherever you go leads you to learn as fast as possible, and then learn things you might learn and by failing yourself. Now, in these places, you can learn and build on experiences of other people, and I think
that
that's
is
that's
true.
what I wanted for myself. Yeah, associated with big brands definitely has been a thing, and as I wanted to learn quickly and be amongst like great people,
Yeah,
and then just learning on their own experiences just gives you so much more insight and exposure as you are growing your career. Now, from my journey from Duke to Home Depot to Amazon has been amazing. I think I chose Duke. I got admitted into multiple schools and I wanted to be part of Duke because they have a strong team culture. Now, with the in the internet age, you can learn technical skills everywhere,
yeah,
and which is great. Like the learning has been completely democratized. But what you don't get, or maybe not don't get, but I think what my preference was
mm,
to be in a school which gives you all of these soft skills which are hard to learn. It's not a mathematical equation that you can learn. You have to practice it and be amongst people like that, which Duke
that's
gave
true.
me a complete exposure to. Um, so I think that's why I chose Duke, which was great. Learned a lot of those things about communication and like just being in a team, understanding different team dynamics, empathizing with coworkers, understanding where they are coming from. So those
Yeah,
things were great, which helped me a lot in Home Depot as well as in Amazon. Home Depot was a great journey. It was definitely a very good stepping stone for me. I was a measurement lead there, which helped me understand not only the analytics side of the story, which I had done before in banking, as I said, but then also towards the part of understanding it more from the product side. Like, what do we
mm,
want to do? Why do we want to do? And what kind of insights do we need in order to formulate a hypothesis and then go about it and understanding if it was good or bad. So I think very end-to-end exposure in Home Depot, which I really loved.
yeah.
And then definitely joined Amazon to take it further up a notch.
Yeah.
uh, being really amongst the best of the best.
Wow, that's truly amazing. Yeah, can you break down like what's the most valuable aspect of Duke? Because we know that it's expensive. It doesn't come,
Hmm.
the big brand name doesn't come that easy. It's an expensive business school. So can you break down like what was the
Hmm.
coursework impact? How exactly the networking works there? What are the career opportunities? Any real world projects you get to chance to work on? Okay.
So coursework, I think, is in like it has multiple tracks that you can take in Duke, at least when I went there. I think they
Okay.
still have it. You have strategy, marketing, forensics, and a couple of other tracks that you can
Oh,
finance that you can be part of, which is great
okay.
because it helps you align your analytics towards something.
Hmm.
And I always say, and I think it's been said by a lot of analytics leaders as well, that the excellence in analytics comes from speed. Because if you are taking 5 weeks to do something, like better, a data scientist can do that. What is the analytics part of it?
No.
That comes mainly from hypothesizing and then understand, like quick exploratory
Yeah,
analysis to form, get data. So,
definitely.
and then that brings me to the alignment part. If you don't know the industry and you join the industry, you take a lot of time to ramp up. So I think these specific tracks are really good because it makes you uh, not be a master in those fields, but at least have some exposure before you go into such industries. So I think that's great. And I was in strategy track, which had like,
Okay.
for example, operations in it, which I am in operations in supply chain now in Amazon, which I have really benefited from these courses that I took there. It
Wow.
has a good mix of data science courses, which like from analytics to like SQL to data science core courses, understanding different algorithms to um, towards the advanced data science side of things, which involves deep learning and other things. So those and so hold on, ranging from communication to analytics to data science. And then some of the like they also have some simulation related courses, which I think is great, especially if you want to be in the field of um, supply chain, because it just
Okay.
helps you understand the what if scenarios much
Oh, okay.
better. My favorite course though in Duke was business communication, hands down. I think I learned the
Okay.
most there, and because it affects day to day so much, I think that's the thing that I've most used anywhere.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Another one was navigating organizations. So, like, how do you build a team, and like, how do you balance the personal side of the story with the professional side of the story? How much is like what mix is good, and how much cohesion is needed in a team? And how do you make successful teams. So I think a great mixed bag of courses that Duke offered.
Yeah, I mean, the coursework sounds amazing. I would follow up on the business communication part. Definitely would love to know. And this does seem like not just like a technical degree, but also like a management. So it's like a good blend of technical and management, which not only provides you a head start, but later how to grow in your career as well, which I don't think the other colleges I have talked to people from have that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just give you an example of today. Like, I'm writing a launch email on one of the pilots that I'm doing at work, that will improve the inventory efficiency that Amazon carries.
Okay.
And when you're writing that launch email, the first thing that you have to write is a executive summary. And while writing executive summary, what Duke taught us, which is the accepted industry norm, at least in the US, is to use a bluff strategy, which is bottom line upfront, and start directly with that. And
Okay.
all my launch emails, the first word I write is bluff and then two dots, and then I go forward with it. So again, something you learn there and you bring it to your practice as part of your work. This is amazing.
Wow, that's amazing.
Mhm.
Moving forward to the network opportunities and the preparation around the job hunt, how exactly that worked out in Duke?
School does help you with the skill sets needed to network. I think there were multiple. seminars, if I remember correctly, how to um, drill down to the companies that align with you better, what kind of career you want to be in. I remember this concept of lamp list, which was just helping you understand which industry and which domain and what are the top 25 companies you want to be in.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember the concept exactly, but I think it's a Duke person who wrote that book, and he came and gave a seminar. All in all, to say, I think the team there is pretty committed to help you understand what is right for you.
Yeah.
However, I mean, it's I think mostly is definitely is like you yourself driven. Like if you, it's pretty much depends on you how much deep dive you wanna put into these efforts and figure out what is right for you. So, like with regards to networking opportunities, the school does its part, but
Hmm.
then you also have the responsibility to connect with a lot of alumni,
Yeah.
and then just build a relationship with them. And the good thing is it has a lot of alumni. You can reach out
Yeah.
to the Fuqua School of Business, like MBA graduates. They are pretty helpful as well. That I think I got a couple of interviews from Fuqua, like MBA grads, which was
Oh,
amazing, especially at that time because I graduated at the peak of pandemic.
yeah.
And then even from the school, the program I graduated from MQM, that also has at least what 800 plus alums now spread
Wow.
across a lot of companies. So I think very good base to start networking to.
Yeah, I've talked to like a couple of people from different industries when I was doing my master's, and whoever I talked to
Hmm.
from either NYU or Columbia or Ivy League universities, the only thing they used to like brood about was like the network they have, the
Hmm.
alumni, the kind of exposure they have. So that is definitely true that if you're going to a big university or a Ivy League or a really reputed university, the definite advantage you get is the exposure and the kind of people you get to work with or the kind of alumni network you have. So it's not even about classes. I guess it's pretty similar to IITs in India as well. It's not about classes, it's
Hmm.
not mainly about professors, but it's only about like the exposure you get, the kind of people you are
Yeah,
surrounding yourself with, and the kind of alumni network you get.
definitely.
That is true that you definitely love Duke. You found the love of your life at Duke, so I guess it worked out well for you, but definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So for people who are coming to US now or who are thinking about masters, how exactly they should do the cost benefit analysis about choosing a college? Should they look for like a big brand name? Should they look for technical skills that the course has to offer? Should they look for
Hmm.
alumni experience, or they should be okay with the previous experience they are coming with and any college is okay in that term? So like what out of these four spectrum they should be focusing on?
That's a really good question. Like actually a very good question. And I don't think any particular school should get a preference just because of brand name.
Okay.
Because I think it used to matter, but I think now much more preference should be given to what your goals are. So I think one more thing that I have seen, Janvi, with that is that first of all, I would recommend please get experience in India and only then come to the US, especially with AI now being in picture,
Yeah.
because the market is extremely competitive here. US is a very much more capitalistic country as what India is, and like they are also at the forefront of innovation. Um, so that is why if you don't provide a lot of value, like they have a very strong culture to, put you an improve performance improvement plan or
Mm.
something like that. So get some experience and exposure to the field that you wanna be in. It just helps you minimize your risk. Again, not saying get 10 years of experience, but
Yeah.
I think 3 years of experience is a sweet spot so that you also understand if you want to put that money into it
Mm.
while coming to a new country, it's a lot of adjustments.
Okay. Moving down to the working experience at Home Depot. You started at Home Depot in marketing analytics. So can you
Mhm.
like walk us through your domain experience and how exactly in which part of the marketing domain you were working? What was the projects like? And if you can talk about few key metrics and KPIs which really help you make an impact in the domain.
Absolutely. Um, just stitching to our previous conversation, marketing analytics was a field that I had very less education on. But then I was lucky to get the job. But then again, I was not able to deliver insights as quickly because I was myself learning, okay, how this field works. Um, but I think so it was a lot of hard work in the beginning to learn, okay, how are these different tags working and how are we tracking customer journey? What is the customer journey?
Yeah.
So I think that was definitely a very steep learning curve. Um, but once I got it, so I was working in the digital marketing department for the lower ticket item purchases. Home Depot
Okay.
is a like you go to a lot of people go to Home Depot to remodel their kitchen. But these are these bigger purchases
Yeah.
that happens. I was working to help Home Depot get insights into how can we get more customers and retain more customers for one-off purchases. For example, batteries or air filters or something like that. Definitely a very fun experience to kind of see how are the different campaigns decided, what kind of data goes into it, how do we target people, and who are these people, how do we decide which people to target. So I think a lot of exposure there for me to learn. My job specifically was to help them get most bang for their buck, like uh, getting the right marketing alignment so that we can get the most incremental value from
Mm.
marketing, and which is the age-old marketing question. Like how do we get drive the most incremental value from our customers?
Towards campaign effectiveness.
Yes, towards campaign effectiveness. So it did require a bunch of, and I think you probably have a similar background too, if I remember correctly,
Yeah.
Janvi. So it
Yeah.
was fun. But the part that Home Depot, like the part that I also really liked, apart from the standard A/B testing measurement and then different clicks, CTCs, CPCs, and all of this measurement, building dashboards, driving these conversations. But apart from that, the thing that I really enjoyed was helping the team align in terms of what should be measured and why it should be measured. Because you
Mm.
can take 1,000 metrics in marketing and then have like bombard people with so many metrics. But then driving the conversation of, hey, okay, what is important for us? For example, this is a low ticket item purchase group. A lot of um, a lot of things. I would say let me put it this way. Um, Something important for them was to run more conversion-based campaigns based on the things, but then helping the team come to this point of alignment that, hey, conversion is what we are looking for. So let's make sure we have our overall funnel strategy, but then conversion is our main point of alignment. And then driving these strategic conversations with the data is something I really enjoyed in Home Depot the most.
Yeah, I guess I really enjoy marketing analytics, to be honest. That's like my favorite part because it not only involves coding, but it involves like talking to marketers, talking to advertisers, talking to account managers, and like play playing around with the business in so much good sense, which is way more productive and way more efficient because you can consider yourself as a customer as well, and then you can understand the psychology, and then you can play
Absolutely.
around with the customer journey in a way better sense than any other field. I
Right.
tried like reading about supply chain analytics and finance analytics
Hmm.
and pharma, and there's always something about marketing and customer analytics which I can resonate to and I really get excited about. But yeah, definitely these kind of
Absolutely.
metrics and the projects you talked about is great. Like the DIY custom, like Home Depot is about DIY, pro, and home services. And I guess you worked in the major segment, the DIY
Mhm.
segment, and driving that kind of value is amazing.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely a very fun company to be a part of. I also love the culture there.
Definitely. So, after gaining experience in marketing analytics, how exactly you transition yourself into Amazon? Because Amazon is mainly about supply chain analytics. Yeah.
It was crazy. I think it was literally whatever could hit the fan, it did. Yeah, because um, again, very steep learning curve. I am part like the business I am part of in Amazon is a end-to-end supply chain. So I'm not because it's a big company. Usually, you join a big company, you're part of a very specific focus within a very specific team, and you're
Yeah.
optimizing, micro optimizing something. But then the team I am part of has an entire like whole end-to-end supply chain in itself. So that was pretty challenging to understand. Okay, how do we go from procuring inventory to setting up sites, procuring inventory to managing operations to optimizing operations and inventory and everything to understanding transportation connections and the different carriers we have at the finally delivering it to the customer.
Wow.
So that was definitely a fun experience. A lot of hard work went there. But I think again, as I told you, so I've been working in the inventory space and the coursework I did in Duke, which was operations management, I think that
Mm,
helped a lot because we
that came
learned about
handy.
state of the art. Yeah. We learned about the state of the art techniques of like how do you understand the different things, like how do you buy the right inventory? And we learned all of these different models there, and it directly aligned with what I was doing in Amazon. So definitely a huge learning curve still, but I think again, you just keep your eyes open. You write a lot. You make a lot of notes, as you probably everybody does in different companies, and then
Yeah.
you're able to deliver value.
Yeah, definitely that's true. Um, Recently I saw an interview where Jeff was mentioning that in Amazon no one works on PowerPoints. Oh, how was your first impression? Because I remember Home Depot is full about WBRs and
Yeah,
QBRs and MBRs, and every week you create and you work on a lot of PowerPoints presentations. So
yeah,
how exactly your transition went from like PowerPoints to just Word doc and going through all the
yeah.
memo and reading 6 pages of it?
Great question. And I think it really hits the spot. So I think
I know you
it
really like
was
it.
yeah. Initially, I was like honestly, initially I was like, it felt a little bit more like bureaucracy. Like if I want to achieve something, come on, man, let's just go out and do it. And PowerPoint is easier to make
Yeah.
because you can have a couple of slides and have people and talk it through. Amazon writing is on a whole different level. Like it has to be extremely customer centric and the points have to be extremely well thought out. And you present that doc and people take the time to actually read and then
Yeah.
give you a feedback. Now that feedback is much more different than what you can achieve in a presentation because people are hearing it, not seeing it, and they don't have the
Mhm.
time to process it as deeply and ask the different follow-up questions that you can. So initially, it was frustrating to write it, and because if I wrote a doc, I think we I had to do at least 30 revisions based on the different feedbacks I was getting, and I was like, come on, now it's fine. But then no, it has to be up to Amazon standards and which they make sure that things are. Eventually, I started absolutely loving it because the pace at which I was able to move forward with
Mm.
things, and like again, a lot of things in the industry, especially with people who wanna like achieve, who are like achievers and want to do something, is about moving the needle.
Yeah.
That's the way how you move the needle and get alignment when you write documents, and it just helps you with your thought process so much more. And even it helps your stakeholders to take the time and really be engaged in the best way possible that they can be. So I think it's a great process. Frustrating in the beginning, but then absolutely in love with it now.
Yeah, even I was shocked when you were telling me that you really enjoy that process. Like, isn't like the analyst supposed to like showcase everything in a dashboard and it just becomes more intuitive? And that's what like analytics are promoting, right? That build dashboard,
Yeah,
everything like convert all the data into a visualization format and then present it. And then Amazon comes
yeah,
and like, just give me everything written and I'll be able to understand the document better. And
yeah.
when I was,
So
yeah.
to your so I think again good points, Tanvi. So what this document writing culture does, so dashboard gives you an output of an analysis.
Hmm.
Writing and again like, gives like helps you translate towards the outcome of the analysis of like okay, what you build a dashboard, so
Yeah.
what's moving, so once you start writing, you also become the customer of your own dashboard to kind of get the insights part of it. Okay, this is whatever we are seeing through it. Not everybody does it. I think Amazon had dedicated people who also just build dashboards, but at least I was lucky enough to be part of a team that I was also consuming it because I was in charge of giving the insights. And if you do
Mhm.
that, then you have to really be like, okay, so what? Like, am I really delivering value here or not?
Yeah, that is true. Even in his interview, like he was mentioning that in PowerPoint, you just get bullet points. You don't get the story behind it, and people may be able to understand at that very moment or not. So it's better like in memo, it's the entire story written. So you get the entire context, the background, the front end and the back end, everything about it, and the entire storyline just contacts you.
Yeah,
And they give you like 30
absolutely.
minutes to understand the memo and then 30 minutes to like discuss about it.
Yeah. And the thing that I also, so it does give you the full story, right? So as a consumer, it's really nice for us to get the whole background. But
Yeah.
then what I think even more so, like the real value comes in the person who's writing it. Because when you're
Mm.
writing it, you like start asking so many assumptions that you have taken that you probably wouldn't think about before.
Yeah.
And because the bar is so high for writing, you really have to make your point extremely succinct and to the point. And then you start also realizing, hey, you know what? This work stream that I had is not really as important because it doesn't really move the needle in the minds of my stakeholders or the leadership. So I think it has like value for the customers, but I think a lot more valuable for the person writing to make sure that they have clarity of thought in what they are doing.
Definitely, that's so true. If someone is out graduate and they want to work on a project and they want to get into supply chain and mostly like supply chain optimization or supply chain analytics, what they can focus on.
So let me take it from this perspective. Like if you are graduating out of college and then you want to work in a company like Amazon in the inventory optimization space. So
Hmm.
like this is one of the questions that I can answer. That again,
Okay.
get hard skills first. I'll give you a short answer. Um, because it's such a massive field, and especially in a company like Amazon that's been doing it for the past, what, 10, 20 years with
Yeah.
PhDs. They
Yeah.
have developed so many things that takes a lot of time for anybody to get a grasp on, right?
Yeah.
Um, so in order for you to contribute quickly, get hard skills, get coding skills, like especially in analytics field, SQL and dashboarding is like your bread and butter. So
Yeah.
do it to the point that you can, like even in your sleep, that you can do it pretty comfortably. I think that's what I say. That's what my advice is to everybody. Get really good at it. Um, and also in terms of the different approaches you can get.
These days, companies do look upon the technical skills, but apart from technical skills,
Hmm.
it's very important to understand the business. So now, if someone wants to get into supply chain, what kind of concept they should be aware of? What kind of KPIs and metrics which are really important, which they can
Yeah.
be tested on?
So one thing I will say, I don't think Amazon will ever test you even if you don't have the background.
Okay.
Especially for like entry level jobs, I don't think like because I take a lot of interviews in Amazon, we never ask the question about, okay, tell me about this, and that. Because it's expected that Amazon is doing, I mean, like what they develop, they are
Yeah.
market leaders, right? So
Yeah.
whatever they are doing probably is not even out there
That
available
is
to
true.
general public.
Yeah.
So I think, again, from this perspective, hard skills and transferable skills are what they're looking for. However, if you do want to learn, like for example, what I learned in my course that helped me later on. But again, it was not something that was a deal breaker or deal maker for Amazon. Like they were not like, okay, you did operations course, so now you have a better point of alignment here. Um, so that was not the case. But if you do want to learn, I think there are a lot of things in supply chain, starting from, okay, inventory management, what I do. There are a bunch of different algorithms that you can learn about. Some basic examples are like news vendor model, which is
Okay.
just a basic like it's not basic, but I think it's a good foundation model to learn about, okay, how do you take costs into consideration while like how do you maximize profit from your inventory management. So it talks about storage costs, it talks about a bunch of different costs and gives you an optimal order quantity in order to maximize your profits. So I think those are good algorithms to get started and get a feeler. of how these things work. Understanding bottlenecks
Mm.
is another thing in supply chain. I think bottleneck analysis is a whole different thing. Like understanding the different, like if it's a complex supply chain, which is non-linear, how do you understand what point is the bottleneck and then what needs to be resolved first? So I think those analytics are also available, which I studied um, as part of my operations, which I think must be available online on Coursera or something like that. Then somebody can get started with.
No, that's amazing. Like if someone who has experience 3 to 4 years of experience in different domain, should they
Mhm.
continue in that particular domain because then it would be easy to get promoted at uh manager level, or should they diversify their portfolio with different business domains? Like what do you think really helps in getting up the ladder?
I think having different expertise will help. Maybe not in the short term, because again, I think if you keep switching different things, your promotion timeline gets a little uh, not as efficient. But I think again, you can definitely collect enough stories from different places.
Moving to the next question. So you have shifted from an individual contributor to now leading a team of 5 members. So how exactly that changed in approach of your work? How much do you do the technical work compared to business meetings and the project management?
I am more towards the product side of things, understanding our alignment of our analytics for our customers and our business, and then helping. Because again, you can develop a lot of solutions for a lot of things which may not matter as much at the end of the day. So then helping the alignment of what data products need to be built for what are the biggest business problems um, is what I do now. And the transition has been, I think, so the transition was once I joined Amazon. I think the thing that I was saying, I also started showing my affinity towards understanding these things. It's a writing culture.
Yeah.
You are free to write whatever you want. Nobody's stopping you. So I would go on and talk to stakeholders. Nobody asked me to, and then contributing to like the business meetings discussions again, which nobody asked me to be part of it. But then I knew that I have something I can contribute over there. Talking to my teammates, writing a strategy doc. Okay, what's the 3, 4 year vision looking like for our data team, which I'm part of, the analytics team. How can we gain more efficiencies across like the engineering aspects of things? Let's say if you are writing 1,000 line query, I am
Yeah.
writing 1,000 line query. The whole team is writing 1,000 line query. Can we
Yeah.
not build like centralized data marts that can expedite everybody's work, right?
Yeah.
And then so the transition, so that's how I got into this role, like understanding it from a perspective of how can we gain efficiencies across the org and
Mm.
effectiveness with the products
Yeah.
that we have, and just writing and presenting them and then helping people. And I think being empathetic is really one quality that I think has helped me a lot. Just talking to people and being a listening ear for them
Yeah.
and trying to help them in a way that's possible and doesn't burn you out, of course. So I think that was the transition. But then once I am here, my focus is more towards building these product that helps everybody, and then helping the analysts and the business and the BIs, for fellow BIs to understand um, prioritization, because again, this company moves really fast. And one of the main things is, okay, I have 10 things to do. What should I do right now? So how do you get to that point?
No, that's truly amazing. And I know I don't work under you or in your team, but you have been a really great listening ear for me as well. If there's any problem, if I'm confused, like you properly take everything and then you strategize and then like, okay, prioritize this. Okay, do you have this vision? Okay, do you have this? And you do provide like a clarity without providing me a path. You just give me like a direction, like a proper mentor. So that is so true about you.
Thanks, Janvi.
Moving
I mean,
on.
also, go
Are
ahead,
you
sorry.
crying?
No, no, I
Okay.
I might be. Those were very kind words.
Having worked at the major companies, what kind of trends do you see these days about the tools adoption or the team structure or required skill set?
Excellent prototyping skills, like how fast you can solve like 50 to 60% of the problems. never aim for perfection, especially as an analyst. We cannot be perfect. Analytics cannot be perfect. Yeah, deterministic part definitely can be, but then other than that,
Differentially.
it's most inferential has to be in a probabilistic sense. So only aim for what 60 to 70% of a solution, even if you're building a descriptive dashboard. Do not build 100% of the dashboard with all the embellishments and whatever different color schemes and no. Deliver a minimum MVP product extremely fast. And then get feedback and then churn it over and over. So that's one, which is again in the domain of excellent prototyping skills. Um, Second is, which I think that has helped me a lot, is think big skills, which Amazon also promotes like anything. Under and how do you think big? Always think about like start from the North Star. Like
Mm.
you need to have the exposure to understand and again talk to different people in different industries and all of those things to
Mm.
understand. Let's say if like I am now part like leading an analytics team, what does excellence look like if everything was perfect and I had like enough time, enough everything, enough analysts, what will be the most efficient setup of my team and how will we achieve and what products we'll be building and what will the customer interaction look like
Mm.
remove all the constraints and start thinking about what that North Star looks like, and then work backwards. Okay, what is needed to achieve that? What are the 10, 15 things I need to achieve that, and then work towards the roadmap of when can you do, what kind of resources will you take. So again, moving extremely fast to prototyping and also knowing where you are moving through that think big exercise that you have done really helps you like being set yourself apart from the from your peers.
That is so true. I guess the approach you take to solve a problem is very important. So
Mhm.
that's a really great pointer. And when I started in the initial days, even I had the idea of like creating like a perfect dashboard which has everything perfect. And once I had that, and it took the longest time, then when we showed it to the clients and they were like, okay, we don't want this, we don't want that. And then you go into the loop of like improvising that and it never comes out in the way you want it because you're not building it for yourself. It's not your painting. So don't put
Yeah,
too much effort into it. Think about the users who is going, like who's the end user and who's going to consume it, and build it
yeah,
from their standpoint. Like if like in the start I wanted to have all the fancy charts, but later I understood that the end user is someone who doesn't want that chart. So it doesn't has to
yeah.
be like how creative you can be. It's more about how creatively you can incorporate a visualization which will be easily consumed by your end user, and they can understand the data very well and they are able to interpret what you are trying to showcase. So the dashboard should be able to answer the major business questions.
Because in the age of AI, again,
Yeah,
those hard skills are necessary, but they
yeah,
can be automated as well.
yeah,
So then what are you contributing? So how do you do this? A lot of people talk about, hey, you need to have the business side of things. Like what is this business side of it and how do you develop it? Um, I was also very intrigued with it, and I asked a lot of senior leaders this question in our own analytics conferences on the stage. I was like, "Hey, how do you take care
yeah,
of this? Like, what is this business acumen?" So
yeah,
I think it's at the end of the day, again, how do you do it? Is you attend these business review meetings on a regular cadence. You understand the things that the leadership is looking into and what kind of decisions they are making. Now, again, it's
mm,
different for each company. In
yeah,
Amazon, WBRs, MBRs are like the de facto way of business, like running a business, which I think is now like is everywhere.
yeah,
If you attend these meetings, you understand what questions are being asked by people and why. Why does it matter? You understand the yearly goals of what the business, your particular business is trying to do and how it connects to the overall company. Once you have those alignment, and then you start thinking about it yourself. If I had to solve this problem, what would I have done? What would I
mm,
need to know about these things? So this is a great way for you to develop that intuition, that business acumen that will help you align your hard skills much better to understand, again, the outcome rather than the
yeah.
output of the analysis. So I think those trends are something that companies are really looking forward. And then there are definitely more tech side of things that you can go into. For example, you don't have to. I mean, again, if you're a full data science guy, learn LLMs and implementation and all of those things, of course. But I'm not gonna go into that. This is more analytics based. Many of the companies are using some form of GPT
Yeah.
um, models already, and they have some sort of infrastructure. I'm assuming at least the bigger companies will definitely have it.
Yeah.
Now, what you can do is you can upload knowledge documents to these and
Hmm.
then have it do something for you. So learning, I think that um, this framework of how do you upload it, how do you write the content, what content is necessary, and having and making a simpler chatbot, I think helps a lot of teams to move forward. Again, writing helps here
Hmm.
a lot. So that's one, and that's on the technical skill of side apart from SQL and Tableau and other things. And team management again is very different on it depends on culture to culture. So I think that is something that you have to keep learning as you go along. That's my
That is
answer.
that is
Absolutely. Yeah.
okay. Moving on to the Amazon interview preparation. We have already talked about the technical rounds, but
Mhm.
Amazon is something which plays really big on principles. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, from an interview perspective,
Yeah.
absolutely. So yeah, they have Amazon interviews usually only has two parts.
Okay.
One, I mean, at least from a tech perspective, they will have some sort of tech rounds, and the non-tech part will be, I would say, at least 80% based on leadership principles. They can ask you some case studies or something sometimes, but I think more often than not, it will be leadership principle based. And why are they very important? And again, why is the stress on leadership principles? They really matter in Amazon. Like I think some of the leadership principles is what we have talked about. I was just thinking in the
Yeah.
background that think big is a principle, bias for action, again, which is talking solving 60% of the problem extremely fast. And because after that, the curve really the diminishing returns after that. Ownership, going outside your scope of responsibility, understanding your team and other things is part of the leadership principles. And Amazon really pays attention to the extent that every doc that you will write, every assessment that you will be part of, any hiring you will be part of, or just day to day, the decisions that you will be taking, like the minor trade-offs that you need to take. Hey, do I prioritize this? Do I prioritize this? So those leadership principles come into effect every single decision, I would say, at every single decision, every single day, whenever you take them. So apparently they're very important. And that's why they ask it in the interview. Now, how do you prepare for them? I think
Yeah.
there are, especially in the experience of 2 to 5 years, I would say, um, a couple of they have a lot of radio sprints. I think around 16 now, if not more. That's a lot, and
Yeah.
that's a lot to prepare for. So choose the ones that are more likely. And in the beginning, again, what kind of skill sets, like if you think logically, like they will be looking for more hard skills, more deep dive skills that they will be looking for. Um, and again, something that moves the wheel fast. So deep dive is a principle that's extremely important. That usually gets asked in the beginning stages in Amazon. And um, you might have other principles like have backbone, disagree and commit, because you might, you will, let's say if you get hired as a business analyst, you might have chances that you need to, hey, this is not the right way to approach it, where you can contribute. So
Mm.
choosing a few leadership principles, probably five or six, I would say, which makes sense on a 2 to 5 year experience level. And then I think if you Google, you can find a lot of like relevant questions. For example, deep dive. One of the
Yeah.
questions will be, tell me about a project when you deep dive about something. And then, so the difference in Amazon interview with this question, because it can be asked in other companies, is
Mm.
like generally I have seen in my own interviews in Amazon and even the ones I take, like we really peel the onion. is what we say. Like we ask at least five follow-up questions on the thing, which kind of frustrates the person at the other end because when I was interviewing, I was like, come on, man, let's move to the next question now. But then they really want to know what you did. And
Yeah.
if you are really clear and thorough about what you did, so carefully choose your example, whatever you're choosing. And that this is one of the times when you really want to tell the person literally all you have done in
Yeah.
a clarity of thought, because they're also measuring that. Um, so again, take the leadership principles. I think there should be questions or something available related because there has been so many interviews in Amazon, so many people are employed. And then
Yeah.
really think about those principles and have your stories aligned in terms of, do I have examples to showcase this leadership
Mm.
principle?
Yeah.
And I think that should help a lot.
Yeah, that is so great. I still remember when I was preparing for the behavioral round for Walmart, and you took
Hmm.
my mock, and in a very strict way. And as you said, like you had like so many follow-ups. Even I got nervous, like because I still remember when I told you that okay, this is the round and this is what I have to prepare. You asked me to write each and everything. So for each question, I had so many mock-ups, and then we were revising it and like, oh, this is working, this is not working, and I was making so many corrections and all of that. And I still remember like when you were taking mock, like I felt like, oh my God, this is like I made like all the mistakes during that mock. So it was very helpful the next day when actually I was in the interview to like I knew what exactly to say, I know what to avoid. And the storyline you told me about, like, it's not important to just follow a star framework. Like, it shouldn't just exactly follow that, but it's actually should be telling more about the impact you have created, the numbers. It should be more about the background process, why there was even a need to solve this problem. So I guess those were the things that really helped me also like prepare for the interview back then.
That was some time ago, Janvi. Good job
It's been a year.
remembering all the feedback.
It's been
It's
a
been a
year.
year.
Yeah, it's been a year now. It's
That's true.
close. Yeah, it's close to an year.
That's true. Yeah. You are an excellent mentee.
Maybe I got the best mentor.
Now I need to do this again.
Crying moment. Okay.
Yeah.
What are your long-term goals and how do you envision your role evolving in the next few years, especially with rapid advancement in technology?
That's a great question yet again. And I think it's also very important again with the AI coming into the picture, like what kind of career paths are something that is worth thinking about at least.
Yeah.
Um, and again, different people have different stances on this. Here's my stance is that I think the gap between tech and um, non-tech has is decreasing very fast
Yeah.
now, and it will keep reducing. Now, I think you will still need the basic skills of, again, SQL and other things to kind of understand, interpret, and mold the things you want in your way. Because I don't think that's going to be automated 100% everywhere.
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
takes a lot of significant amount of capital investment to do that. So I don't think that's going to happen, at least in the next 10 years, completely.
Yeah.
Um, so because this bridge is reducing, what companies will need, in my opinion, more is a person who is able to think what needs to be done, why it needs to be done, rather than how it needs to be done. Now, how is also important, don't get me wrong, but I think because the gap is reducing, if you're able to understand that, I mean, actually, how is also important because again, like for example, a lot of architectural decisions goes into the how part, right? Like we can approach a problem in 10 different ways. What's the best way to do it? But again, this again brings you back towards the thinking side of things, like how you add more value than AI
Yeah.
um, and like how you because you understand the different contexts of how the teams work, how's the business structured. A lot of these unsaid things which aren't as well documented, therefore LLM might not know as much about it.
Yeah.
So that being said, I think that's why like I am developing my product skills a lot more in terms of understanding how teams work. Like how do you take a product from zero to hero, and how do you make sure it's successful, and all of those things. So I think those kind of skill set becomes much more relevant, that you start really put your thinking cap on. And I think it's a great thing, right?
Yeah.
In general for humanity. I think we are advanced beings, and I think this gives an opportunity for a lot of people to stop, like to actually to devote more time towards more advanced things that people haven't thought of, and like spend their time on those things. But nonetheless, I think that's still far in the future. So hard skills will still take you a lot of places. To have those ready, and then develop your product skills. Also use AI to develop your product skills, like ask a lot of questions. It's
Yeah.
great for brainstorming, which I use a lot of times, and then just putting my thoughts into clarity. Like, okay, this is what I'm thinking. Can you write it in a better sense?
Yeah.
Or if I'm making an inventory solution, what are the different algorithms I can use? What are the different ways it can be used? So again, good sounding board. Um,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
Definitely. I guess I use it every day. I just tell that, okay, coming from an analytics standpoint, this is my view.
Mhm.
You are a content strategist or you are a social media manager. What do you think about like if I'm writing for LinkedIn or if I'm curating questions for the podcast, this is like how my approach goes. And then I just ask them, okay, you have
Yeah,
to think like you are this person and then like comment how exactly coming from an analytics standpoint, I should be making changes and all of that. So it's like a great sounding board, as you said. You can brainstorm really well. There's so much AI tools available these days that you can't get enough of them.
absolutely. There are so many where it is just being developed by the hour
Yeah.
now.
What's your favorite?
Yeah. I mean, Amazon has its own internal, and we are
Okay.
just like we are discouraged to use external. But if I have to pick, because I also use it for my own like personal stuff, I think I just default to ChatGPT most of the times because I like the interface, I like the answer. I did use
Uh,
Perplexity for a
mm,
while, but that's always like my secondary. If I don't like ChatGPT, then I go to Perplexity.
okay.
Um,
Yeah.
and yeah.
You can try blackbox.ai. Have you tried that?
Oh no, what's that?
So blackbox.ai has all the models available. So it'll based on your question, it'll randomly pick a model and then because it's black box, it'll randomly
Mm-hmm.
generate a outcome and it takes links, it takes images, it takes PDFs. And if you want,
Okay.
you can actually specifically pick a certain model as well. So you'll find Meta, you'll find Claude, you'll find ChatGPT, you will find DeepSeek as well now. So if you don't want to go into like a paid version, I feel like blackbox.ai is really good because then you don't have to like pick a certain model and then you can just randomly generate an answer. And if you're not satisfied with it and you want to go with like a specific model, in the next one you
Yeah.
can just select the model and you
Choose
can
it.
go for it.
Yeah, that's nice. I've tried out. Sounds cool.
Yeah. I love the feature that it takes all the URLs. So I don't have to go to a third party tool to like summarize a blog.
Oh,
So I can do that. If there's
yeah.
a YouTube video and I want like a summary of that video, I can like for everything, there's like just one. If there's a PDF, I'll just
Oh,
upload
wow.
that. So it
That
pretty much does the work.
that is very useful actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Earlier, I used
Instantly.
to like note down like different AI tools for like summarizing a YouTube video, summarizing a blog, or
Yeah.
trying out different things. So in this particular website, like
Yeah.
I can choose all the 10 models and it's up to me like which answer I like and I'll just copy paste that.
That's nice. I think ChatGPT now also takes links. Yeah.
Oh,
You can
okay.
just paste that. Yeah. I don't know about video though, but I
Mm.
think it will take text links now. It has the ability to browse the web.
Claude has recently started that you upload Excel to the chat and then you can ask analytical question and it'll solve for
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
That was like pretty exciting for me that oh my God, that this is crazy. Like for all the
Cool.
short
Yeah.
like small companies, this is crazy. Like you don't have to hire a small like a data analyst for a small company. You can just get like a
Absolutely.
Cloud Premium, upload the Excel and get done with your work.
Yeah.
The world is going crazy with all these AI tools for sure.
I know. I think it's hard to imagine what it'll look like in the next 2 years.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to try DeepSeek?
Just a bit. I didn't ask a lot of questions in DeepSeek, but I did read a couple of news articles and I saw people's like the posts and their responses that's coming. I remember the one which was this 9 greater than 11, and then ChatGPT is failing to answer that question, and DeepSeek did. And
Oh,
I saw the thinking capability it has, like how it
yeah,
thinks and writes a bunch of things and then it comes to an answer.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
It's great. Like so much things are revolving around this AI. Let's
Mm. So I think first of all, again, I keep saying this because I know I talk to at least 50 to 100 analytics graduates every month.
Mm.
Um, uh, Make sure your hard skills are straight. Like there is absolutely no, if I ask you a question, how much do you know SQL? And if your answer out of 10 is 6 or 7, you're not ready. It has to be 10 on 10. Like you should be as confident because that's how you give value being in analytics, having 2 to maybe 4 years of experience. So have that absolutely. Now, how do you get into the industry, especially when market is challenging? First of all, realize that there's only so much you can control.
Yeah,
A lot of it is about being in the right place at the right time in the realm of something you can't control. So start with that expectation because it's a tough journey and it can become frustrating really fast.
yeah,
Second, come from the perspective of being a little objective about it and not getting affected. It's a game. It's really a numbers game, right? Again, right place at the
yeah,
right time. How do you be at the right place at the right time? You just be at every single place at every single point of time. Something is going to stick to the wall, right? So just taking it from a gaming perspective that, hey, you know what? Let's not reach out to only 2 or 3 people and be like, hey, you know what, this was so hard. Like, I'm such an introvert person and whatever, whatever, which is okay. But again, if
mm,
you gamify it, it becomes like, hey, it's I reached out to 30 people because it's just simply copy pasting most of the same stuff across people and then talking to them. So I think that perspective helps. So this is from the point of difficult market and how should you think about it. And also actually one more point. If you
yeah,
reach out to people and then they don't respond, believe in the power of follow-ups. Most of these
yeah,
people who didn't respond are either not using LinkedIn because they are
yeah,
already in a job, they have a whole life to manage, and getting a job is just a starting point. Afterwards is where the real day-to-day things start of like, hey, you know what?
yeah,
I would like to have a 1 month break right now, which I think I want to have, but you're not gonna get it.
yeah,
So many deliverables, so many people depend on you. Um, so again, give them the benefit of doubt and follow up 2 to 3 times very respectfully, and they might actually come back to you. I think the success rate of you getting a response after the third follow up, I think, in my opinion, like increases by at least 5 times. Um, so definitely do that. So
yeah.
that those
That's
are
so
the
true.
three bag, yeah, those are the three background points I would say. Now, how do you get foot in the door now? Of the part you can control. So let's move to this
Yeah,
part of the story. Now, what you can control is the hard skills that I said. Second, so because you only need one interview to go through completely, right? You
yeah,
don't need 10,000 interviews because if you're wasting your energy. So that second, make sure your resume is extremely clear, crisp, and delivers values. The value delivered per second is highest, especially in the beginning. Now, if you're going to add a lot of things that it's not relevant for me to read because I take interviews, that I have a lot more things to do in my day-to-day job, so I might not
yeah,
go through them as well. Now, there are also things, so optimize that. Make sure your resume, I'm seeing those points of the transferable skills that everybody looks for, especially in this 0 to 5 years of experience. So those things I'm able to see of what not just the numbers in terms of how much impact you draw, but then I'm more so looking for what especially in analytics. What's your
Yeah.
tech stack? What did you use? What kind of problems were you solving? Impact, sure, you can definitely say 15% improvement, 30% improvement, but it's good to see. But again, this I'm looking for the essence, which the essence comes from what did you actually do and how did you do it? Um, Keeping it short, of course, don't want to make this like 5, 6 line answer.
Yeah.
So resume, you can control that. Another thing is, again, being at the right place at the right time requires you to be at a lot of places and a lot of times, and you can control that. And how you do
Yeah.
that is by expanding your network. Now,
Mm.
what do I mean by expanding your network is, of course, talk to a lot of people. Again, as much as possible that you can maintain an Excel list of these are the people I reached out in these companies. And like, is it for follow-up? Is it not for follow-up? This lead has completely ended. Just again, take it as
Yeah.
how you would manage a project rather than taking it more personally and be like, hey, nobody responds. What's wrong with people? Um, so I think that kind of approach really helps. And the best kind of networking is fine. Also, the bottom line is the people who want to help will help. So also
Yeah.
realize this somewhere that there's no point pestering somebody with 10 follow-ups because at that point of time, it's very likely that they might not want to help. So
Yeah.
again, it's okay. I think 2 or 3% conversion rate in terms of finding the people who actually want to help is a great number to strive
Yeah.
for. Yeah. So that being said, what your target should be is not network with people, but then mm,
Meet the
like
right people.
networking is only the first step.
Hmm.
But the second step is again, if you reach out to let's say 1,000 people and then you get respond for let's say 20, and then out of the 20 you see that, hey, you know what, these three are really great and can help me. So there are different level of relationships you can maintain with them.
Yeah.
Like, for example, we have been very close. So I am now not your network. I am now your advocate. Like
Yeah.
if I am hiring for someone like, hey, you know what? I want to have Janvi in my team, right?
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
Hire
Um,
me.
so
Yeah.
um, again, like have these are different stages of networking. I wish I had better
Definitely.
nomenclature for it, but then try to be close to people and
Yeah.
understand, again, learning from their experiences, be extremely humble, connect with them, really talk to them.
Yeah.
It's definitely a time consuming process and it's also daunting, especially for people who say that they are like more like introverted aligned. But I think this is just being a responsible introvert. I don't think you
Yeah.
are out there talking about fun things and spontaneous things, which I think can give more stress to introverted people. And
Mm.
introverts, and that's okay. But this is a more structured conversation. I don't think there's a lot of ambiguity that's left. So I think it's just being and for extroverts, I think it should be
Easy.
like, I mean, their part, not easy. I mean, their part is to curtail it to the uh, right conversation and not waste anybody's time and just be like
Yeah.
extremely aligned. And again,
Yeah.
whosoever wants to help will help.
That is so true. Even I reached out to a couple of folks, and not everyone will reply. And at a certain point, you realize that if you are getting less response, it just means that you are reaching out to less people. So it's better to reach out to more people. Then you'll have
That's a
better
great point.
callbacks. So
Yeah.
if you want like 200 replies, then reach out to 20,000 people. You will get 200 replies. So you can think from that
Yeah.
standpoint as well. And
Oh,
def
absolutely.
And then I also agree to the point where you said that have like meaningful conversations. Like I've seen so many people just reaching out to me that refer me. Like I don't know you. Like it's little difficult to
Yeah.
refer you, and if you do the same, it's going to be difficult as well. I
Yeah.
still remember reaching out to you and so many people during my job hunting phase, and it was never about refer. It was mostly about, can you like review my resume, or like, do you have 5 minutes to chat? I just want to understand like how the job market works. So when you get on a
Right.
call, it's easy to like have a conversation and build a personal bond as
Right.
well. so that the other person
Right.
also gets to know you and you also gets to know the other person, and you can then see if the bond is there, or if the friend, if you can have like a normal formal friendship as well, it just gets easy to get
Yeah.
a referral. Because a person can push, it's easy to get
Right.
referral these days. Like you can reach out to
Absolutely.
anybody and you might get referral or through someone or the other,
Yeah.
but like you need someone to actually push you, and that can only happen if you have like a some bond there that exists who can push for you.
I agree. I agree to this statement. And I think if somebody can do it, I think that's excellent. I think it's a great skill set to have. Again, not just here. This is a skill set that will be needed when you will be in the corporate world, right? To establish those mentor-mentee relationships and understand how they are working, getting those exposure. I think it's relevant everywhere. So I think if you want to work in corporate, I think it's a good skill set to learn today, tomorrow, or even day after tomorrow. Any time is good. Now, but then from a perspective of, let's say, if you're not able to develop relationships as well, but then, and also taking into account that um, this is a referral question, should we directly reach out asking for referral, or should we like wait for a relationship, like some sort of something to forge, or maybe, I don't want to say beat around the bush, but really take your time with it.
Hmm.
I think so. Again, it really depends on personal preference with people.
Yeah.
But here's my assumption and my approach. Again, because people are busy, especially I mean, not even especially, I think in general, people
Yeah.
are busy with their lives. So if you want a referral, the not correct, yeah, but from my perspective, correct strategy is either ask them directly, but
Hmm.
give your value proposition
Yeah.
that, hey, but again, having 1 or 2 years of experience may be okay, but then again, give your value
What
proposition
else?
very strongly of what do you have, okay, that
Yeah.
so that the person, because it takes time for me, I need to open the thing and I put you there and kind of see, and then they ask a bunch of questions and all those things, so I need to be sure. And
Yeah.
again, also, if somebody is in the referral zone, if they're already helping people, they will refer you, but then only for those segment of people that are on the fence, that hey,
Yeah.
I might help some people, I might not, either reach out directly asking them for a referral, or reach out to them talk to them about their work. Like a lot of, not everybody, but then it's just easier and nice for people to talk about what cool things they're doing at work, right? And
Yeah.
that's how you sort of forge the relationship to begin with. And you just be curious about what they do. Oh, this is really interesting. And the next time you kind of say, hey, this is what I am thinking. And I think I really liked whatever you were talking about the company. I would love to have a referral. Again, just being
Yeah.
direct, I think is really appreciated here at least. It's a
Yeah.
little bit of a cultural difference because in India, if you are direct, then you're like, huh, it's not as well appreciated,
Yeah.
at least in the majority sense. But here, I think directness is appreciated um, with a little bit of like relevancy um, to it. This is what I would say.
That is so true because I remember reaching out to someone from CVS and they were at a director level. So maybe that was the reason. And then I reached out to them that can we like have 5 minute conversation? I wanted to understand more about the team and the opportunities in your team. And they're like, Can you just share the job IDs? I'll refer you, but I don't have time."
Yeah,
So I'm like,
yeah,
okay, cool, that also works.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. So I think these conversations are all in the fine realm. Like I also get some messages. People are like, "Hey Aditya, how are you doing?" And then I'm like
I'm doing good,
what?
buddy.
Yeah, I am. I don't have the time to understand, like chit chat with you. So I think again, just being which is a cultural difference, especially coming from India, which I think there's a learning curve to it. Which again, that's what we're here for.
I sometimes get this text hi. So when I'm in like a funny mood, I'll reply hey. And then next day they'll
Mm.
reply again hi. And then I'll reply hey after like 12, 14 hours. And then I don't understand like for three, four conversations, just like hi, 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 hi is happening. Like tell me what what do you want? Like I don't have any
Yeah,
context. Like what are you trying to say? Like just hi. Like just hi and then you are
absolutely.
gone. So that is weird.
Yeah.
Like have like a proper message and don't misspell someone's name because you are copy pasting. Because I get so many
Yeah.
requests with like Anil, Aman. I'm like, I'm not Aman.
And then the thing is, so that what happens in the background, my thought process is that the person is like this kind of approach is not very respectable for me because like you are not caring about my time as much and you
Yeah.
didn't think the process through. And let's say if you're completely oblivious to the fact that being direct is better, then that's also a red flag that how are you oblivious? You are here, understand what the culture is, and how things move and how busy people's lives can get, especially here. So I think those are the signs that these things send in case for people listening and trying to understand why is that wrong.
Mm. Thank you so much for sharing that. And coming towards the last question, I know I've taken so much of your time. So, for someone who is there in this industry, what kind of resource you would recommend to just be on top of everything? I mean, is there any
Um,
blogs you follow? Is there any particular course you like?
oh,
Is there any
I see what you mean.
YouTube? Yeah, do you just like keep yourself updated through
Ah,
LinkedIn or whatever?
I
Your
see.
favorite go-to sources?
So one thing is read Medium articles, and what is the other platform that is the new one which people really go to? The Stack. What is that called?
X.
Substack?
Oh yeah, Substack, Substack. Yeah.
Substack. I am not very regular on Substack. I am a more medium guy because that's how I have I've been doing things more traditional for me. Save articles, see Medium has a saving lists make. I have like 20 lists for everything, for marketing algorithms, for interview preparations, for data science, for how to
A/B
run
testing.
teams, how to think about product, A/B testing, you name it, LLM implementation and strategy product, you name it, I have it.
Yeah.
Like strategy related articles, a lot of them about how do you achieve efficiencies in teams, but also just specifically for analytics teams. Such a great
Oh,
way to increase your exposure with like
yeah.
minimum time spent, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I think that is something that I follow religiously. Other than that, in terms of, I do follow like because LLM is a big thing, and I think it's best to keep a check on it as being an analytics career, like how things are going, kind of. So I do courses even to this day about how to have just the basic understanding of what these things are, how to implement them, try to implement them yourselves. Um, because it's going to help you in future at any given point of time. Who knows what's going to happen? And AI will take over everything. Maybe, but then it's good to be with it rather than
Yeah.
against it.
Yeah.
So doing courses really helps. And I do a lot of courses in within Amazon that are available because those are just more
Mm.
relevant to me. But then again, so many websites have these courses available now. I do
Yeah.
really like what is this? Remember
Deep
this
Learning dot
person,
AI, Andrew NG?
deeplearning.ai. Yeah, deeplearning.ai is amazing. It's a
Mm.
little expensive for subscription, honestly, in my opinion, but I think it does provide you the value
Yeah.
that comes with it. So having keep doing those courses helps.
Mm.
I personally also really follow all of these update videos around DeepSeek, OpenAI. OpenAI had what is it called? They didn't have one conference, they had multiple days with OpenAI, something like that, in which every day they were releasing a new feature. And again, you learn a lot just by being there and
Mm.
understanding how are they taking this, how are they approaching this product release, for example,
Yeah.
right? And everything is extremely scripted. So how did they think about it? What are the features they're releasing? Why are they releasing these features? I think helping listening to these people really help. And you can follow a lot of other like similar
Mm.
line. You can follow like Product School. Um,
Mm.
I think
Even
that's one day. Mhm.
I just enrolled to Hugging Face. They recently launched a
Yeah.
free AI and LLMs course. Like if you want to just
Yeah,
get started with it, it's a really good one. I just enrolled yesterday,
absolutely.
especially
Yeah,
coming from
Hugging.
like Hugging Face. It was great.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of these resources available.
Yeah,
So I think again, the main resource is willingness.
yeah,
If you have the willingness and the patience and the hard work, and the determination basically to do it, you will excel with whatever courses. So I think the thing you really need to work, like one really needs to have is the hunger to do things. Whatever you do, wherever you do, I think that with so many resources online, you kind of find your way. But again, be open to talk to people. This is America, and I think this is the greatest resource this country provides.
that is so true. I still remember you sharing an A/B testing medium blog like of 10, 20 articles. I guess
Yeah,
you saved it
yeah,
on Notion or something, and I was just sharing that I'm starting with the course or I'm preparing for A/B testing or something. And you're like, oh, I already have a checklist. Just go follow this, do this. And it was
yeah,
great
yeah,
idea to like store everything in one place, and whenever you want, you can just go and refer that article back because it's really hard to keep a track of
yeah,
articles or URL specifically, because you read it and then it's
absolutely.
gone the next day. It's hard to find the ones you really like and the ones which are really informative.
Yeah, yeah. So I think these are the main resources. I also read books related to analytics.
Okay.
Um, I think those really help keep me refreshed on some of the things I'm reading as statistics. Done wrong book now, not as
Mhm.
regularly though as I would want to. But I think it's great. You kind of some or the other books just keep you in touch with this field and
Yeah.
how are people thinking about it. I read this book called Book of Why. It's about causal inference. And again,
Mhm.
great book. Like extremely hard to read though. I think it uses very esoteric language. But then you just you go into the mind of these people of how they were thinking when they were developing solutions. Just the approach is something that you can appreciate and then learn a lot from. So again, I think those are some of the things that still keeps you relevant um, in the
No, that's
industry.
amazing. Yeah, it's amazing that you're able, like working with Amazon, able to manage personal life and then able to just be ahead of everything. It's pretty hard to balance out, and you're doing a great job at it. Another thing to learn from.
Thanks, Janvi.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming and sharing your wisdom over here and so much information. It was really, really informative for me. And thank you for always being there.
Thank you, man. Like I think the great questions, by the way. Like
Thank you.
all of the questions are very insightful, and I also get to learn a lot just thinking about these things, which I haven't explicitly done in some of these questions, especially with AI coming into picture. So keep up the good work and all the best.
Thank you. Thank you.